So today we're going to be doing the AC delete. What that includes is we have the big ass AC compressor here. It's probably 5 or 10 pounds. We have the AC condenser. As you can see, it's hard to see, but I have a black one right under here. It's covering the radiator, so that'll give us more airflow, as well as all the different AC lines. I'll have to research just so we're not throwing any engine codes or AC lights when the AC light is flashing. But as you can see, I believe it's one of these metal lines with the pressurized where you would usually add the Freon that charges the system, makes it cooler. So we'll start, we're going to take the front bumper off, and the way to do that is with these specific cars. Mine have ripped off, but as you can see, there used to be little plastic pieces that shield the wheel well, and you'd remove the little, they're either clips or bolts. I think there's plastic clips, and then you'll want to undo those three as well as any other ones you have on this side, and so that way we can start getting the bumper off. Next thing to get the bumper off, it's basically all 10mm bolts, but all along this top we're going to need to remove these all. So first we'll do the main 4 that hold in the actual bumper, then you'll notice the other one hold in this external piece of the frame. So we'll just undo these 4. Now that we've got the bumper off, it's just the 4 main bolts. Yours might have some holding it on down here, but those are commonly broken on all cars. So the next thing, this is the condenser, and right under it is the radiator. So we just have to undo these 10mm bolts. And all the bolts for this job are 10mm. Yeah, so next you're going to want to decompress the system. So here you have the AC lines, the H and the L is back here, all on the same line. So those caps just twist off. They can't go on each other because they're different sizes. So you want to take those off and depressurize that the right way so stuff doesn't blow up in your face. Then next we took out the 2 10mm bolts here, as well as here. And that way this whole bracket will just lift straight up. You just grab it and pull straight up. These 2 little latches come undone. Then the only other 3 things that are holding in the condenser, so there's the 2 brackets that we lifted up on, and here there's a 10mm bolt. Make sure the system is unpressurized before doing this, because this is kind of like a banjo bolt, and there's Freon running through the system. So as you can see, you undid the bolt, and here it's just a little suction, so you just pull really hard, and that comes straight out. Then, as well as this top one, there's a bottom one. Of course, it's a 10mm. Go ahead and loosen that. Make sure the system has no pressure. So as you can see, same concept. Just pressurize, just pull on that, and now it should slide out. Then down here, there's 2 little rubber washers, 1 on each side. There's 1 and 2 right here, and you literally just lift straight up on the condenser. There, just like that. Sometimes these rubber feet will come with it. If not, just go back and get them. They just go on that end post right there. One thing to note also when doing this is now you can see all the rock chips and the rock dents in this. So your radiator, it's going to be less protected, but it should be okay. So now this top line, we can also remove the AC compressor and the belt. We're going to need a shorter belt. So if you kind of follow this and wiggle it, as you can see, it goes through here. So let's go ahead and undo that. Once again, make sure the system is decompressed. And once we undid that bolt, it's the same concept, just that little plug, you just pull hard on it, and it'll come undone. So then to actually remove this hose that we undid, there was a 10mm bolt with a tiny bracket holding it in right here. And you just undo that and it should come out. Okay, now this. So now we got that bottom one out. And we also ended up removing this throttle, so that way we can get this whole line out. So as you can see, we detached both things from the AC compressor. We ended up moving these throttle lines out of the way. To do that, there's just a 10mm bolt here that would unbolt from here, as well as one kind of down here holding it in. This gold one is the top hose for the AC compressor. So just as a reference for the belt, you'd have to find a diagram online that goes over the alternator, over the AC compressor, coming down to the bottom of the engine. As you can see, if you peek in there, it's going over these 2 bottom pulleys. Not sure what those are. I think this one's the compressor. Yes, it is. And then this one, whatever pulley that is, might be the water pump or something. It's touching the back side of that. And the back bottom pulley of the engine, it goes over. The 2 ECU chips I'm concerned about, we'll have to see if we're going to end up shorting them out or just leaving them plugged in. Because there's one that plugs onto the compressor itself, Then there's another one right here on the AC system. It's this guy right here that plugs into the H. I don't know if that stands for high or hotline for this sensor right here. So I don't know if we'll end up leaving those plugged in or short circuiting it, or maybe there's some other solution online. As long as we're not throwing any engine codes or restricted performance or anything like that, it should be fine. So we ended up putting on the new belt. I'll show you a diagram of that on screen of how we ended up doing it. And then the only other thing, there's the 2 holes in the compressor itself, so we're going to throw some tape on there so anything doesn't get in the holes. And then the last thing, and the reason I'm leaving this on, it's going to be a few days, so that way if anything does go wrong, I have the OEM belt and I can wrap it back around the AC compressor. As you can see, there's no pulley, no longer touching, and the rivet lines are showing. So we got the actual compressor out. There's 3 main bolts, or it could be 4 if they have a GTS, but they're basically all the same size. They're 12 millimeter, and if you kind of get a good look in there, there's just the 3 spots. It's right here, here, and then the top one up here. Then there is one plug that you have to unplug. It looks like that. Just push down on the connector and pull up, and that plugs in right into this guy.